I had headphones in. I couldn't hear you, so I thought, oh, so I'll take them out. It doesn't matter.
No worries. Right. Tibbzino. Chris Tibbetts.
Right, what do I need to do on this bloody Facebook malarkey? Give me the instructions.
Yes, so go to Alex Myers or go to the Better Man, and then you should see the video of us talking. You can share that to your crew.
Hold on. There we are. Right, I'm now going to share.
Yeah, you share that.
Share now to public. Okay, share to my profile, and I need to change to my page. Okay, now I need to go to you. SMI.
If you're listening to this, Chris is just sharing to his page. This is the downside to being a coach who works sometimes. You do everything. You become a salesman, a marketer.
There we are. Share to page.
Cool. We're good?
We're all good. There we go. So that's my personal page and my Facebook page.
Fantastic. Right, Tibbetron.
Go on,
the man with a million nicknames.
Not as many as Paul Tinker, but I'm getting there.
Tibbzilla. Dude, obviously, look, we're going to talk about the incredible journey that you've had that's seen you lose 100 kilograms. And yet, when you sent me that document that time, I sent it straight back to you and said, Chris, there's a typo on your document because you were going to do a presentation for my guys. I said, dude, it says you've lost 100 kilos. That can't be right. And you were like, no, it really is. So,
well, actually, I said, no, you're right. It should be 110. But 100's rounder.
It's just insane. So we'll talk about that. But look, you've made the transition from the corporate world into the coaching world. So now you are a coach to those who suffer with similar issues to yourself, right? Emotional eating coach. So, dude, what's been the biggest challenge for you from taking that transition from the security of the corporate world into this world of the unknown, where you're now kind of working for yourself and coaching others onto a similar path?
The 6-figure salary.
Mate, yeah. As coaches, don't always earn that.
Well, yeah, it was really nice when somebody used to just like drop the money in my bank account every month and I not need to worry about it. Whereas now I've actually got to go and find the money. But it's enjoyable. So I think it's like all things. It's learning a new set of skills. You know, it's learning to move from that comfort zone of being somebody who is well respected, knows their job, to then actually being a nobody.
The problem with those jobs that you're referring to, yeah, you almost climb a ladder, even if it's one that you don't want to be on, right? Like, and you get better pension, you get the better wage, you get more respect, you get more authority. So, like, what took you out of that world? What was the point where you said, you know what, fuck this, man, this ain't for me. I'm going to go and coach other people how to get a handle on their eating.
Basically, it's all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I think lockdown happened last year, got furloughed, and gave me an opportunity to not be flying around the world like a lunatic, to really look at what I wanted to do myself as a person. And it's really, we talk about the values determination test that, I know you told the DX guys, and you had a session with them, and I did one at the beginning of lockdown, and then I did one towards September time, when they were saying, oh, you might be going back to work. August. They said, August, there's a likelihood you could be made redundant. I thought, all right, okay. So there's another values determination test, and then we said, I'm not happy with my job. If they give me the money, great, and I can just jump ship and then they can go and work. And the plan was just to go back to doing what I did before the corporate job, just become a management consultant, and go and do projects, get paid, then have a couple of months off, then do another project and get paid, until you very kindly asked me to do a speech to your DX guys. And I had, and God's honest truth, I had an epiphany. I was actually doing the slides and I realized, actually, this is what I want to do. And then when I delivered the session, I realized, actually, it's not what I want to do, it's what I have to do. So I have to help people who are in the same situation I was in, because I don't want anyone to go through that I went through.
Yeah, I mean, when somebody loses 100 kilograms, I'm like, like, I don't think you have an option. Like, you have to end up in the world where you're helping other people do the same. It's not like we're talking a few pounds, we're not talking a few stone. We're talking about another human. Dude, I weigh 86 kilograms. So you lost me.
Yeah.
Are you saying it was up to 110 kilograms? Is that right?
Yeah. So if you take my lightest weight, which was lockdown last year, yeah, I've lost my biggest weight loss from heaviest to lowest is 111 kilos.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like I say, that's me and 20 kilos. It's an insane amount of weight. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, I've got to get to know who this Chris Tibbetts guy is. Because I saw pictures of you, and even the pictures don't do that justice. It doesn't look like you've lost that much. So straight away, like, there's a sign of somebody's character when they lose that amount of weight. So typically, dude, like, the kind of people that you're helping, you use the word emotional eating. What does emotional eating mean? What's the difference between somebody who's just overweight and somebody who emotionally eats?
Well, we look at three sort of categories. There's the emotional eater who, as it states, eats with their emotions, and they can be happy emotions, sad emotions, angry emotions, depressed, and there are a range of them. And they're the emotional eater who will just eat food. Then you've got the binge eater, and a binge eater who is somebody who eats to excess past being full, which just eats everything, and probably without even thinking what they're eating. But to be a binge eater, you're doing that 2 or 3 times a week. The person who just has a big blowout on a Friday night is not a binge eater. Just a greedy person. I even watched my language. I noticed that. I watched my language. I didn't say they're just greedy. But somebody who is consistently eating too many and mindlessly eating. This is somebody who will eat a pack of biscuits, not even realize that pack of biscuits, but that's not enough. And they'll eat their meal, and then they'll eat something else, and they eat something else, and they eat until they're so stuffed they can't think. But then they'll have the shame, the guilt, and else. So that's a binge eater. And then there's the overeater. So an overeater is somebody who consistently eats to excess every day. And they're not somebody, they're doing that because they're consistently doing it. And it's just, you could say, well, that's most overweight people because they're eating more calories than they need. But this is an overeater, somebody who will just eat every day, and they'll always consume more calories. And it's a planned thing in their head. They have to have that big portion. They have to eat till they're full. They're always eating until they are full.
So in your line of work, what would you say was the simplest one to fix, the easiest one, versus the one that's the most complex?
The emotional eater is the easiest one to fix.
Okay, tell me more. Because I would have assumed it was the other way around.
No, the emotional eater is the easiest one to fix because actually you can, if you work on somebody's emotions and what their triggers are, then actually you can mitigate it and you can work away from it. So again, if you know somebody is going to emotionally because they're triggered by a food advert, well, guess what? You can eliminate that. You can find distraction techniques. You can find things to get away from it. So, and you can be aware of the triggers around emotion things. Whereas binge eating is a lot harder because that's a learned behavior. That's something that's always going to be there. And when that binge takes over, then actually you've got it's a real battle. You can use all the distraction techniques, but if you are in the mind of binge, you really have to work hard to beat that, because once it starts, you can't pull away from it, and it's a really hard thing to treat.
I used to love a good binge. It took me probably 8 to 10 years, I'd say, to get over that binge eating pattern.
Join me, mate. I'd have got you done in about 3.5 months.
I know, mate. Well, like you say, until somebody like yourself comes along and kind of breaks down the difference between binge, emotional, and just overeating, you kind of like, sometimes you go through these cycles, look back and think, oh shit, I didn't even realize I had an issue. But I did. One, I couldn't stop, and two, it wasn't just, like you say, a bit of greed. It was planned for days, and it was a mission to go to the supermarket, and it was physically as much as I could get into my gob before I was sick.
And did you notice, and then one we haven't covered is overeating. So, and this is, in my journey, I went from being a binge eater to then becoming an overeater to then actually coming back. Once I got treated for overeating, I then went to the other end of the scale, so I went anorexic.
Okay.
Because my treatment was too effective that I went, I'm going to restrict calories, and then I went to that mentality of like my game was to only get by 1,000 calories a day. That's what I had to do. And bear in mind, if you've gone from consuming 5,000 or 6,000 calories a day to then getting yourself level and going, right, this is a game now, I'm going to hit 1,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know why I'm surprised, because in the line of work that we do, we will always see people probably going from one extreme to another, right? So compulsively overeating to suddenly becoming this person who's going to attempt this extremely regimented, strict diet. So the approach that you've got then, Chris, with the emotional eating, and I'm guessing that this could apply to other things that are emotional drinking.
Yeah, emotional drinking. So basically, if you have any emotional issue, whether it's eating, drinking,
working,
let's talk about addictions. I love this conversation, right? So there's a hierarchy of addictions, right? At entry level, you sort of third division, where some play.
Yeah.
Mr. Mort. You've got working, overwork, right? That's your entry level addiction, right? Most people have that, right? Then you move up to your sort of, I'd say, first division addiction, which is you're looking at sex, you're looking at gambling to a certain extent. Okay. Sorry?
You put sex above work in that category, yeah.
Yeah. Work is entry level addiction.
Okay.
And from that, though, it spreads to other things.
Okay.
And then you start looking at food. So you've got sex, gambling, food are sort of the first division. Then you move up into sort of the Premier League, which is your alcohol and soft drugs. So and then you move into your Champions League, which is the hard drugs.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy of addiction that you move your way through. And quite often, if you don't treat them, you just bounce from one up. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's addicted to food is going to become a really, heroin junkie, but that's the sort of addictive traits of behavior that you move through the hierarchy of addictions.
So when you're working with someone then, Chris, and you help them with their emotional eating, is it quite common then for them to go and find something else to?
Yeah, if you don't treat it, if you solve one of the issues, so if you think, and you probably see it lots of time, right? A lot of people who emotionally eat or binge eat will then compensate by gym.
Yeah.
And they'll go, right, I'm going to overwork. I'm going to overtrain because I've ate all this food, I'm purging now. And they're purging. People think purging is just throwing up or laxatives. No, purging is by exercise as well. And over-exercising is as bad a outcome from binge eating as people who purge. It's a similar activity.
So
if you think, and then quite often if you solve the, and people who have an emotional eating problem will quite often then have the same, they'll move into alcohol because you're just replacing something, because you're replacing that you're not solving the underlying issue that's caused you to have this emotional response. So
it makes total sense. Would you not argue the fact that it's like pick your poison kind of thing, like, and you can pick something that does, like, for example, we had Mike Moore on last week, and he's now super dedicated. Not, I wouldn't say obsessed. It's probably not a fair comparison, but he has to go all in on something, right? Probably a bit like me, probably a bit like you. Like, we like to give our best or all our attention to something. So how do you work with somebody that might have been all in on emotional eating or binge eating, and then when we take that away and they feel like there might not be much left, do you then kind of help these people try and figure out like a new path, a new career, new energy?
Yeah, and I think that's where, again, I can coach anybody on dealing with their emotional triggers, dealing with all those issues such as that, and saying, okay, here's your triggers, here's your food journal, here's your diary. But actually, that's when the mindset piece comes in, because actually, if we don't solve what's driving them, all you're going to do is say, hey, don't emotionally eat, I'm going to start drinking then. Or I'm going to go play on my Xbox, or I'm going to become an excessive exerciser because I'm going to replace that you've told me I can't do anymore, or you fixed, with something else. So you have to look at the whole sort of mindset of dealing with this, and it's about replacing it. So again, if somebody is eating out of boredom, well, you need to replace something that's instead of food. But you have to be very conscious giving them something to replace it with that doesn't, go down the road, well, I'll have a drink instead, or I'll have, or I'll go and work out instead. It's got to be a sort of holistic approach where you're, sound very hippie here. You're looking at the mind, body, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
If I just fix the mind, then all they'll do is they'll push it in some other direction, or they'll start looking, they'll go crazy on relationships. So it could be just, you just have to be really careful.
So what did you do when you went through your own journey in terms of to the position that you've got now? So how did you bypass this emotional eating in your own journey, and what path has it led you onto that you wouldn't have been on if you had carried on emotional eating?
If I carried on emotional eating, I'd be dead. Mm-hmm. But even then, at 39, I was told I've got 6 months to live, or I could die in my sleep because I had so much weight on my chest. But even that point didn't actually make any difference to me. That didn't massively say to me that I'm going to have to make these changes to my life. I made them, but I didn't actually go, oh, I better not stop this, because then for another 6 years after that, I continued to yo-yo diet. I continued to lose weight and put it back on, lose weight and put it back on. Why
didn't that scare the shit out of you when you're told you've got 6 months to live? Is that because you're in such a low place that you're like, actually?
I didn't care. Yeah. I genuinely was like, do you know what? Actually, it might be better. It might be better to do that. And even then, right after my breakdown in, 17. In fact, 4 years ago, my breakdown. In fact, it's almost time. Yeah. 2 days. 2 days to the day, 4 years ago, when I realized that my life was basically not far from being over. I then went on a sort of path of recovery that probably was harder than actually being the size I was, because once you enter recovery from any addiction, it takes you to places you don't really want to go. And the whole recovery process of working with counselors, I tell a story that I broke out the Priory after 3.5 days because I couldn't handle group therapy and couldn't handle some therapist who's like 9 stone, just out of college, telling me things and says, have you ever ate a Krispy Kreme donut? No, I don't like them. Well, I had 12 at 3 o'clock in the morning just before I arrived here. So how do you know if you're supposed to tell me that follow this process is going to work, because you've never walked in my shoes?
Okay.
So yeah, after 3.5 days, I broke out of a clinic in the southeast of London, southeast of England. I can't actually say the name, but we've said it now. So
it wasn't, if you were told, look, you got 6 months to live, maybe, with 111 kilos extra on you that you don't need, and still you were like, do you know what? I don't really give a fuck. What was it that then made you go on this epic journey to lose all that weight?
So when you look at the original photograph of me, you see me with a fake smile on my face, because that was just me. I used my fat skin, my size, to mask my real unhappiness. Mm-hmm. And I kidded myself because I'd lost weight when they told me I had to. I never really thought I was going back up to that size. So I used to be very good at getting down to around 17, 18 stone. And being the size I was, 18 stone, I probably look quite healthy. And when you're 33 stone, you look fucking fit as anything. But I used to fluctuate between sort of 18 stone and 24 stone. But when I had my breakdown in 2017, I went into overeating overdrive, and I had gone back up to 27 stone. And I saw that photograph of me and I thought, that's the same guy I saw in 2011. Looking back at me, same face, same expression. He is fucking ready to die. And he'd actually died. I could see that. I saw my eyes, thought, I've died inside already. I need to do something about it. And I thought, okay, I took my standard approach. Right, I'll go to the gym, I'll get a PT, I'll do all this. But that never worked because it wasn't solving anything for me. It wasn't making me any better. It was masking, like we said about, it was masking that, I had a PT who said, eat this, do this, restrict calories, but it wouldn't change them because my focus had switched from being the emotional eater to, I'm going to work out, I'm going to follow this diet. I hadn't fixed anything though.
I think this is why every PT, myself included, ends up going into the mindset coaching realm, because we learn after 5-10 years that you're not going to fix somebody by telling them to do sets and reps. It's just not going to work. You see people go through the same continuous patterns over and over again. So look, dude, I'm guessing that, like, you know, you were still young when you were carrying all this weight, so things hadn't crept up. So like, when did you like realize that I might have an issue with food? At what age? Like, how far are we looking back when food was such an important part for you?
Probably from, so I know this because I've done the work on it. 9 years old. So my brother had a road traffic accident in a school minibus, and he's paralyzed from the sort of neck down. And almost overnight, I lost my parents because their focus had to be on him, and he was in hospital for 12, 18 months. So I was then, for 6 months, I went to go and stay with my brother's best friend who just lived across the road from us. Lovely woman, absolutely wonderful woman, caring to a T, but she used food as either a comfort. When you were sad, you had food. When you were happy, it was food, and that was just a way, you know. And she had this amazing knack. One, she was an amazing cook, right? But she just had this amazing, a bit like, you remember Mr. Ben from when we were kids?
Who?
Mr. Ben. Okay. Basically, he used to go into this costume shop and change, and the owner of the shop used to just magically appear. Well, this is Barbara. She'd magically appear with food, knowing that I would have a happy. She's like, magically, here's a cake I baked today. Oh, okay then. Oh, you're a growing lad. Do you want another slice? Yeah, please. And she'd see I'd be upset. And again, the most wonderful woman in the world. But that started that process that I then associated food, happiness, sadness. It was my go-to. And then throughout my life, then I just realized that I used food to mask being unhappy or being happy. Either, you know, if I could live my life grey, I would not have a weight problem. If I had a grey life with no happiness, no sadness, and just was grey and a flat line, I'd be perfect.
We all know a feeder as well, don't we? Everyone knows a feeder. Like, feeders get something from feeding people, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, she sounds lovely. What was this woman's name?
Barbara.
She sounds amazing, right? As you're telling the story, it's like you can tell she's a warm, kind, yeah. And food is her way of getting it out. So, like, what do you think she was getting from this? Was this her way of saying, "I love you and I want to look after you"?
It was. You've had such a terrible time.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure all your pain goes away. You're not going to realize that you haven't seen your parents for 3 weeks. You're not going to realize I'm going to do everything possible by making all the nicest things you want, all the food you want, make it all there for you, so that you're not feeling sad and alone. Even at night, you know, if I was worried at night, she'd bring a hot chocolate at night. You know, it was like anything would be there. And it was always happiness.
So as an adult, obviously, you know, we can look back and we can rationalize this, and, you know, logic takes over. You know, obviously your brother had a horrendous accident. Your parents needed to be with him, and rightly so. You can understand that. But I guess as a kid, there's this like, fuck, I've been abandoned here. Like, you know.
And that proceeded, Alex, because when you think about it, when my brother came out of hospital and we moved home into a purpose-built place, you know, they renovated it. I then moved into high school, but the focus again was him, and I was almost, and this was the days before video games, before phone, you know, where you used to make your own entertainment.
Yeah.
So I literally would then, to get some sort of connection, I took on from what I had from Barbara was food. So I got to know the people in the bakery, and I talked to them, you know, because they were like family. I got to go to one of the fish and chip shop, but I had food, you know, and I found my solace in food. But alongside it, it brought a whole pattern of behaviors that come from somebody who has an addiction. In that, you know, at that age, you don't have money, so I used to acquire money from my mum's purse to go and get food. You know, I used to just do that. I was even stealing money to buy things that I didn't need, and basically I stacked them up in my room. You know, I'd go to the model shop and buy things. I never used them, and then obviously when my mum and dad realised that money was going missing, they went. I showed them it all, and then basically I had all my Christmas presents for the year because they just gave me. Said, "There you go. You're not having any Christmas presents. You've already gone out and bought them." But then they created that behaviour, and I found connection. I found solace. I found that freedom in food.
So were you obviously you were like growing up quite? Did you start to pile on the weight as soon as you? No.
No. Because I was always active. And I was always so at 11, 12, I was 5'11" at 11 years of age.
Yeah, it's a big lad, yeah.
Yeah. And I was relatively skinny-ish. So it was only when I sort of moved to Wales and went to high school that I started to put weight on. But then it didn't matter because I was just active. I used to play. So at school, because I didn't want to be at home, I played football. I played rugby. I played basketball. Anything. I was literally doing something every night.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Wales and found rugby, I would have I'd have club training Tuesday and Thursday. I'd have county training on a Monday. I'd be down in South Wales for the national team training on a Friday. Then there'd be Saturday playing for the youth team in the morning and the seniors in the afternoon, which can't happen now.
Yeah.
And then Sunday I'll be playing again for the regional team. So I was literally just active. So whatever I ate didn't matter. And I could just plow through food. And it wasn't until I actually got injured that I realised that I had a problem eating. Because
training stopped,
training stopped, actually stopped, but my food consumption didn't.
Okay, so how old are you at this point now when you start to pile the weight on?
I was 17. Yeah, 17.
Yeah, and this was fast. Like, did you see like an instant weight gain from the moment that you got injured?
Oh yeah, it was almost within like sort of, I would say 6 weeks. I would have put on a couple of stone. Well, 2 stone in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of weight, bro. It's a lot of weight in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Because don't forget, at that age of 17, I found booze as well.
Yeah, I was thinking rugby environment. One of the lads, I'm guessing that alcohol was involved as well.
Yeah. So you got booze, still eating loads. You haven't done anything about it, and then I sort of like I moved away and went to go and work away, which I thought would break it. And then the problem then was I moved and worked in a hotel, which living in a hotel, you get 3 square meals a day. And breakfast was basically what was left from the buffet. So you had all this fried breakfast every day. And as much of it, what was there spare. And again, with my behavior, it was like, great, I just over it.
Did you see the body changing in the mirror? And did you contemplate like doing something about it then, or did you just not care?
I didn't just care. I just noticed that I need to get a new pair of trousers every so often because the trousers got too big. Got too small.
Yeah, that was it, right? I need bigger trousers. I'm going to go and buy it.
I just need bigger trousers, so I go and get the trousers run out. Next time when I got the next pair, I thought, well, I can't get them. I'll get a bigger pair.
So you don't question it. You don't future pace. You don't think at what size trousers am I going to stop eating all this food? No,
not at all.
Okay.
And it wasn't probably. I probably didn't deal with my weight issue till my first child was born. So when my first child got born at, he was born, probably about 23. Then I thought, right, I need to do something. So I lost weight.
Okay.
And I said, I am world class at losing weight. I have a try and tested method, which is basically cornflakes and tuna fish and mash.
Not all in one meal.
No, cornflakes at breakfast and then tuna fish and mash in the daytime. 2 meals a day.
Tuna and mashed potato.
Yeah.
That's all right. Bit of barbecue sauce on that. You got a meal.
Yeah, and then cornflakes for breakfast.
Okay, and you do this, the weight would come off, and then
because of course, when you think about it, even a big thing of smash and a couple of tins of tuna is probably 800 calories, and then a big bowl of cornflakes and milk is probably another 3. So it's basically about 1,200 calories a day.
Yeah.
So of course, I'm dropping it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing while all this is happening, like careers still, like things still go like normal in the world, right? You still earn money, you're still doing okay in your job, like that's not affected.
Yeah, at that point, I was working in the family hotel, so it didn't really matter. So it was like comfortable. It was easy, it was really easy. And then when my second daughter came along, I thought, all right, okay, I'd stopped losing weight. And I started because my first wife at the time, was a feeder, and she used food as a weapon and as a method of showing love, but also a weapon against you. And she didn't like being slim, so she put weight back on, and of course I followed that process. Then Madison was due to be born. I thought, right, okay, I need to do something like this. I need to get slim. So try and test the method, did that again. But then from that point, my weight just carried on, going up. And then I thought, right, I need to do something about it. So I lost weight again. But then I think the turning point would have been 2006 was my last weight loss. And then from 2006 to 2011, I just went and just piled the weight on.
What happened for that to spiral out of control like that?
Unhappiness, I think. Just I was working in my own job, running my own business, quite stressful. I was flying backwards and forwards across the world. I was commuting, I'd basically be out in China for 2 weeks, fly back, be out in China for 2 weeks. And again, in China, it was great because, big Western guy, I was big size, everyone loved it. You get lots of adulation, it's like, oh, you big strong man. No, I'm a big fat bastard, but.
Well, that's the thing, like, there's an identity attached, isn't there? Like, just people know you, the big guy, the big man. It's like who you become.
Yeah, and I just did that, and I just traveling backwards and forwards, and just food was my friend. It had been my friend all my life.
Because that picture, Chris, of you, with the stripy t-shirt, was that on an aeroplane or not?
Yeah, it was on Airbus A380. Yeah.
Dude, how did you even get in the seat?
Oh, mate, flying first class doesn't matter.
So you could be as big as you wanted; it didn't matter, right?
Yeah. There is an interesting story. When I was in South Africa, I flew from Johannesburg down to Cape Town, and on the plane it had a fixed seat, but like Ryanair, they have fixed seats, can't move, can't move.
Yeah.
I got into, and I literally couldn't get into it, and I said I need a seatbelt extended, and there was massive fracas, and basically the chief purser was kicking off. She was going to get me deloaded, going, you're too big, blah, blah, blah. And it took the captain, frankly, who was a rugby player. I was out there, Wales were playing at the same time. And he basically told her, just put me in business class. You'll fit the seat. We need to get off. But then I had this whole thing of, if you fly again, we're going to put you on our, because British Airways are operating the flight in South Africa, you go on our no-fly zone, no-fly list, or you'll have to buy 2 seats. And, it's just horrific.
Dude, did anyone at any point say to you, like, pull you to the side, whether it be friends, family, colleague, and say, Chris, like, we're worried about you, dude. You're fucking huge. Like, you're growing, you're getting bigger. We're worried. Did anyone like pull you to the side and try and speak?
Yeah. When would this be? 2007. Yeah, when I started to put the weight back on in 2007. Simon Jimson, who I'd worked with and then I moved into consultancy with, he said, I'm really worried about you. Your weight gain is the weight you're carrying just isn't healthy. And he's probably the only person who's ever actually done that.
Did you? And you didn't ask him, right? He just approached you.
Said, I'm really worried about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read today that, Chris, it said that you're the best friends in your life are the ones that cause you the most pain, i.e. they're honest with you and tell you when you need to hear something. So I guess he was just trying to look out for you at that point.
He was. And I didn't listen to him, obviously. And then it's interesting because one of the guys in my program, Matt, we started working together when I'd started to lose the weight in 2011. And I started working with him in 2012. And when he joined the team, he said, oh, yeah, they used to talk about me being really big. And he said, oh, he's lost a lot of weight, but you should have seen his size. He was huge. And Matt told me this, like, when he joined my program, and he's joined the 28-day program on mindset, not weight loss. And he was like going, yeah, they were talking about you. He used to talk about you, going, you were huge. And it's funny how, you hear people talking about you behind your back.
How big were you at your biggest then? So if you lost over 100 kilo, what did you actually weigh?
212 kilos, 33.5 stone, 34 stone.
34 stone to fucking hell, Chris. Dude, tell me about some things that, like, Like, what can't you do it that way? Like, can you tie your shoelaces? Can you?
No. Can't wipe your ass. You have to put your foot up on the toilet seat to wipe your ass.
Shit, man.
Yeah, you can't bend down tight. You have to put your foot up somewhere to tie your shoelaces. You can't, if you drop something on the floor in the car, you can't reach down and get it.
You can't see your own genitalia.
No, can't see your. Yeah, can't see you. Yep, can't see that. What else?
You're not having sex at that weight.
Yeah, ain't fun.
Right. Okay.
Ain't fun.
That's hard work, mate. I mean, that's pretty hard work.
Yeah, ain't fun. You're very limited on your positions. Let's put it that way, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. But life just must be like fucking hard. Like getting upstairs. The environment.
Do you know what's weird though about this, Alex? Is at my heaviest, to get out of the house, I was playing golf every day. So I was okay. Sometimes you hide a buggy, sometimes you didn't. But I would literally be going to play golf every day. So I was still active.
If you were coaching you,
yeah,
now at your worst point, so you know, Chris of today meets the worst Chris. Where the fuck would you start with this guy?
Where would I start with him? I wouldn't work with him.
Why? Just too much?
I wouldn't work with me because I wasn't ready to. I wouldn't have been ready to accept the help.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't work with me.
Yeah. How do you know when someone's ready? Is it just through their action, through what they actually do, not what they say?
It's almost like if you think about again the whole 12-step program, you've got to have that acknowledgement that enough is enough. You've got to realize that pain is enough, because otherwise, if you're not fully committed, you'll just give up.
Well, I guess the next view was dying.
Yeah.
So, like when you say you know the pain is enough, this is the one thing I don't think any coaches have been able to solve. How do you stop people from getting to so much pain and doing so much damage that they then eventually want to change? It's like if you're in the middle, there's often not enough reason. There's not enough pleasure. There's not enough pain. So you had to go to the pain spectrum. I had to go to the pain spectrum. All the people we admire had to go to the pain spectrum. And it's like that's pretty much the standard method of learning for most people.
I think it is, but I think in terms of this case, and this is what I get quite passionate about, is nobody actually should have to get to the point I got to in eating. There is no need for it. There's absolutely no need for anybody to get to that stage, because actually if we dealt with it in the beginning, but again, I'll have my rant, if I was a gambler, you've seen the adverts, haven't you, on the TV? Every single betting company has to pay into the gambling commission, who then fund this, fund Gamblers Anonymous. They fund helplines. They fund, you have to have a break from gambling. They're in the apps. They do all this stuff. There's so much around not gambling, and they advertise it on TV. When are the government going to turn around to the food companies and the fast food companies and Just Eat and all these other people and say, hold on, that guy there, he's ordered this, like, he spent £1,000 with Just Eat this month. Is that normal?
So what are you saying? That
what I'm saying is, obviously that's not feasible. What I'm saying is the food industry. So if you think about treatment for eating disorders, right? If you're lucky, you may get some treatment in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Whereas if we funded it, if the food companies had to pay and they funded it, right? The sugar tax, where does the money for the sugar tax go? Into the Treasury's pockets. It doesn't go into funding obesity. It doesn't go into funding eating disorders.
No. When you take your situation though, right? And I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here. At like what point do you say, look, dude, it's your responsibility to control what you consume. Everybody has the option of eating these foods. Everybody has the option of eating vegetables. You are deciding. Just like, somebody who consumes extra alcohol, somebody who consumes extra food, somebody who gambles. At what point do we go, look, it's always on you. It's only on you. And, you got yourself into this mess. You get yourself out.
I totally agree. They need to make it a level playing field then.
Okay. And how do we do that?
Well, we need to turn around and say, gamblers, guess what, Ruth, you want to ruin your family by gambling? Off you go.
Yeah.
Ruin your family taking drugs? Off you go, but there's no support for you. because you made that conscious decision. Why is it any different to a food addiction, to gambling, drugs, or anything else?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? And like we always mention, the problem with the food addictions are like you can't just step away from food. Like you have to stay in the environment.
That's the hardest addiction to beat, because unlike drugs and alcohol, where one either you can have a substitute, or you can give somebody a drink, a drug that makes them puke. So you can give alcoholics something that they take every day. If they touch alcohol, they puke up. So it stops them wanting to do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you give people to stop them overeating.
Well, fortunately, there's people like you now to be able to help those that are struggling, right? So obviously the Chris at that point wasn't ready. When we spoke about the Chris at his worst, the Chris that was 212 kilograms wasn't ready. You stepped on the weighing scales at the doctors. I remember you saying this. You've got a doctor saying, Chris, 6 months, mate, and you're dead and buried. So if you weren't ready to change then, like what happened for you to say, I'm ready. I'm fucking here. I'm going to do the work. I need to sort my shit out.
It was 6 years, as I say, it was 6 years of yo-yo dieting, and eventually looking at that guy in the mirror and realized, I thought, because I'd lost weight when I was at my heaviest, I thought he'd gone. And I saw that picture and thought, no, he's back. And that scared living daylights out of me, because when I saw him, I thought, I am going to die this time. Because I knew what I told myself before, that I can't go back to that point. So I thought, right, I need to get help. I then, as I say, went for this process, going to a gym and all that, and that wasn't working. And I spoke to a friend of mine, and she says, you need to go into a program. So, and I was obviously in Boop at the time, and they went, oh yeah, okay, so they sent me off to that clinic in the south of England. And then I thought, that's not going to work. So she says, try Overeaters Anonymous. So basically, I joined their program, and it saved my life, but took me to places that I would probably never ever want to go to again in terms of treatment. You
can talk about Overeaters Anonymous, can't you?
Yeah, I can now because I'm blowing my cover.
Yeah, you got booted out, right?
Yeah, I got booted out, yeah.
I didn't know this. Like, it's called Overeaters Anonymous for a reason, where you have to stay anonymous. You can't speak about it.
Yeah, you have to. If I wanted to talk about it and stay in it, I could get away with Tibbsy, and I'd have to go blank screen.
Dude, sounds like the fucking Fight Club or something. Like,
it's Fight Club, mate. It's Rule 11. It's the 11th tradition. You don't talk about Fight Club.
Well, why is that there then? Like, surely it would be more helpful if somebody who's in it could talk. So, like, isn't the anonymous thing like? Wouldn't that include like I can't tell people I'm ashamed, or is there a reason for that? Or
the reason it is to protect the anonymity of the sponsor who's helping, and it's to help protect the sponsor who is being helped, because people remember there's a lot of guilt and shame and stigma attached to it.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether that helps or hinders the fact that you can't.
It hinders it. Well, in OA themselves aren't that, but they will grow through people through people getting help.
Okay.
Then it's not about a popularity contest to them. It's not about getting it. And if you take people like Russell Brand who've promoted it, people will find them and they'll go, if you really need that help, you'll find us.
And it's a similar thing to like an Alcoholics Anonymous, where it's
same steps, exactly the same.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because everyone knows AA and everyone knows about the steps, but when it comes to OA, Overeaters Anonymous, I didn't know that there was a famous 12 steps.
There's a Hoarders Anonymous.
You serious?
Yeah, because that's a compulsive behaviour.
I bet it's Sex Addicts Anonymous as well.
Yeah, the whole compulsive behaviour process. Any compulsive behaviour, there's probably an anonymous program for it.
So I guess in the program that you were in, there was people in your similar position, right? Very overweight and trying to sort their stuff.
That's the funny thing. My sponsor was an anorexic.
Right.
And I was like freaking out, going, how on earth are you going to know how to help me? And I don't need to know your problem. I'm here to take you through the process, and take you through the process will get you out of this.
What was the most helpful step?
4.
Which was?
Where you basically accept everything that you've done and everybody you've hurt and everybody who's hurt you.
What do? Do you reach out to anybody? Do you write letters?
9. But step 4, step 4 is the crux, where you gather all of the information that's going to then take you through the remaining steps.
So it's
a list of who you've hurt, who's hurt you, instance in your life, but it was probably the one that drove me closest to suicide.
I was going to say, I bet that's the most fucking painful thing.
Yeah. If I hadn't had the sponsor, she hadn't talked me down from a rooftop, I probably would have just.
So you thought about killing yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. For a prolonged period of time, or was this just flashes of
I was probably up there for about 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, you were actually up on the top of the building there, not metaphoric.
No, I was at the top of the building.
What were you thinking when you were standing there?
That everything that I've done in my life and everything that's been done to me in my life, why the fuck am I bothering?
What was the answer? Why are you bothering, or why were you bothering?
Because actually, I had these issues and I got to deal with it. And actually ending it wouldn't actually solve any of the problems, because all I'm going to do is create a whole heap of shit for people. I wouldn't have answered any of the questions. So I was like, my children would wonder about, my wife Carmen would be going, and they wouldn't have had any answers. They're going, why have you done it? Because don't forget, at this point, I was doing this in complete secret.
I can't wait to read your book. We talk about, so for anybody listening, Chris will have a book out hopefully this year.
Yeah, it will be this year, yeah.
Hopefully this year, sharing your journey and talking through the 12 steps of recovery to emotional eating and so on. And we talk quite closely, don't we, Chris, about the pain of writing. I think it's, again, we probably both have this fear. It's scary encouraging people to do what you did, Chris, and to look at everything that they've done wrong, everything that's been done wrong to them, and to kind of own it, because it does take you into places that you don't want to go. But I think we might be in agreement here that if you want to move forward, you kind of have to go to those dark places.
Yeah, you do. And again, like I say to people, I'm not a therapist, right? I'm not a PT. I'm a guy who's been through this process and has been coached and has coached people through this process. So if you think, I've had 46 people that I've sponsored and got through this process. I'm on my 47th at the moment, and I've had 3 failures. And those failures always live with you. You can't. And the thing I always say, you can't save everyone, because at some point people go, "I can't be saved."
Yeah, and I guess, like, new to the coaching game, you're going to be learning all this. So I still have a bit of an issue with not becoming invested in my client's journey.
Yeah.
So I still have the downfall of taking their failures a little bit personally. A hard thing to do, especially when you care and because you've been there and you've felt the pain, and you probably can predict where people will end up if they carry on. Yeah,
I think it's like when you're coaching, coaching people on the one-on-one basis. It's hard, but and you see the cycle, and you say and you watch the sort of the anger, then the resentment, and then the tears, and then the acceptance, and then back to anger again. It's just a cycle. I mean, what you just have to do is just at some point break that cycle with people. And I think when you're doing step 4, it is hard, because you are almost opening yourself up, and you are everything that you've done and has been done to you.
So how are your steps different to the Overeaters Anonymous, or are they the same?
My step and their step?
Yeah, how are yours? Because you're writing your own steps, right? Yeah. Are the steps the same?
So in my program, step 4 is almost the first step for me.
Okay.
Because in effect, up to that point, steps 1, 2, and 3 is almost you've got a problem, you admit you've got a problem, and then you admit that you can't solve the problem yourself. Is easy. Sorry?
It's a big deal, those first 2 steps, right? Some people, I'm guessing, don't even know they've got a problem with food.
No.
Even though they might be 4, 5, 10 stone overweight, right?
They'll go on, it's all circumstance. It's all that. It's everybody else's fault by them. And you can notice, I'm sure you are like to do it. You see some people says, stop putting it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. A lot of people go, oh, well, just stop eating it. Well, I've been doing it for 15 years.
Dude, what are some classic signs then that you might have a problem with either emotional binge or just overeating? So what should people look out for in their own lives that might indicate they might have an issue or some kind of...
Basically, if somebody upsets you, you are eating at them. So I'm going to eat all that cake because my husband shouted at me. So you've got that anger. So you're eating at somebody upsetting you.
Yeah.
You've got the issue that says your first response. So your first response on a Friday night is actually the takeaway's been delivered before you've even thought about it. So you've almost done it without thinking, and then you have got the issue of the fact that you're automatically sat down and you've ate 5 biscuits with a cup of tea without even realizing it. So it's a habit. So I've got a cup of tea, I've got 5 biscuits. I've got a cup of tea, I've got 5 biscuits. It's almost a reaction that they're doing it alongside this thing. Then you've got the fact that once you've eaten that food, you've got shame and guilt. So if you think I told us quite often about emotional eating and physical, emotional hunger and physical hunger. Emotional hunger, you are craving a specific food. Where if you've got physical hunger, you'll eat anything because you're hungry. Whereas emotional hunger, you go, no, I need to eat this. I need to eat this sugary food. I need to eat this pizza because I'm chocolate. Yeah. Whereas if you are physically hungry, anything will do. You know, when you're emotionally hungry, you'll eat and eat and eat and be stuffed. Whereas if you're physically hungry, when you've had enough, you go, I've had enough now.
What about eating off? What about eating your kids' food? Eating off
we can do that. So there's always the whole you're finishing people's food. You're always the person having second portions. You're the person who goes to the fridge. It used to wind me up, but people who go into the fridge and help themselves, and then will take like a little bit out of it, but then you go in and go, hold on, that's missing, or the packet's been opened, and or you have cake in there, or it's people who are finding the wrappers stuffed down the side of the sofa.
That's quite common. People hide wrappers. People, like secretly.
Yeah. If you are frightened to eat in front of people, you've got an issue, and you need to get in touch with me and see me.
Absolutely. And here's another one, because again, I'm not saying this through judgment. I'm saying these are things I've done. I used to never eat in public like I would in private. So in public, I would never scoff my face like I would in private. I'd be embarrassed to do that in public. It would never happen. So I think that's one thing. What about this one? You constantly like thinking about the next meal that I mean, constantly, like always planning ahead. What am I going to have?
We're not talking about people like you and I who are doing meal prep and meal planning because we're hitting our macros. You're almost going, right, I've had breakfast. Right, lunch, I need to eat this. And actually,
Tuesday afternoon, you're sitting there going, what am I going to stuff down my face on a Saturday night?
Yeah, you're almost planning that event. You're almost people who are doing it. Then that's creating that binge environment. It's creating that focus that food is there to be eaten and it's to be not just people who don't. People just scoff their food and don't eat or don't think what they're eating. They've just gone before it's even.
That's me. You've just described me.
Yeah,
you've just described me. I don't even chew my food.
Yeah.
I always get taught. People are like, "How have you ate that fast?" I'm like, "Didn't even chew it."
Didn't even chew it. Just
terrible.
Is that because you're feeding yourself, or is it just a learned behaviour?
I don't know actually. It's just been something I've done for so long that I like.
You'll often see families, people who've got big families, right? Because it's the only way you'd ever get any food is you ate quick.
Oh yeah, no, it weren't that. I've got a small family.
Or the other thing, people who eat standing up.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah.
If you're eating standing up, then that's an issue. You need to obviously deal with that. But then there's again that sort of secret eating, that fear of being seen. As you said, you'll in private you'll just be like be just scoffing it in like the Cookie Monster, whereas in public people go. My wife used to say to me, Carmen, bless her, she'd go, "Are you okay, darling? What have you had to eat today?" "Oh, nothing really. I've been busy all day." Well, actually, on the way to work, I went to Starbucks and I had a caramel macchiato and a cinnamon swirl. Then at lunchtime, I'd have had, been to Tesco's and got my, meal deal, and then in the afternoon, I had another caramel macchiato and a cinnamon swirl. And then on the way home, I probably scoffed something on the way home and I go, "No, I haven't eaten anything today."
what was like the biggest binge for you? Like, because you've referred to, is it chocolate hobnobs were your thing?
Yeah, chocolate hobnobs is still my trigger food.
How many packets of those could you take down?
My record is 6 in a day.
6 packets
in a day.
And Domino's pizza was another one, right?
Domino's pizza. My record for Domino's pizza is 3 large pizzas.
That's decent. I said, yeah, and they're about 2,500 calories each, right?
And then I told you, do you know the story? So there used to be a restaurant in Harrogate called the Cattlemen's Association. I don't know if it's still there.
Look how proud you look. You look so proud right now.
There used to be a steak challenge, 72-ounce steak.
Yeah.
Right, with all the trimmings.
Yeah.
I got barred because I did it 3 weekends on the bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. But mate, it's an open house, right? Like, not that I'm encouraging that kind of behavior, but the fact that
the lads used to love me because we'd go all hot foods. We used to go to a curry house and they walk in and go, "What's your hottest curry?" Foul. Yeah, okay. Make it extra hot. And I go, "If I eat it, can we get our meal for half price?"
Yeah.
You're challenging the chefs in the kitchen, then, aren't you?
See, that's the kind of thing that really doesn't help a beat. You know, when they do these crazy food challenges, like you watch Man vs. Food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 72-ounce steak, dude, is a big deal. I mean, I'm thinking I've done a 32 before, and steaks are hard food. It's hard to digest. Yeah. 72-ounce is, and I'm guessing there's chips on the side of that.
Oh, there's chips. There was onion rings. There was coleslaw.
But that's it. You kind of get the recognition for that. You kind of get the tap on the back for doing that.
Well, it's like McDonald's. I got try not to smile about this. Getting asked to leave from McDonald's. 19 double cheeseburgers, and you wanted your 20th, and the manager goes, "I'm not serving you. You're putting people off." Dude,
we can laugh at this, but that's when you know you've got some serious issues regarding food.
Right. And so you said before about did anyone pull me up a meeting? So when I used to be a consultant, quite often, I submitted expenses for my meals, and I used to get a £20 a night dinner allowance, but of course I could go to KFC and get a bonus box, and it was only £12.99.
Yeah.
So I used to get a bonus box for my meal allowance.
Yeah.
And they go, "Did you eat all that to yourself?" I went, "Oh yeah, of course I did." I went, "That's a lot to eat, isn't it?" I went, "Look, I've just saved you £7. What's your problem?"
Well, that's for a family of 4, right?
Yeah. 4 fries, 4 sides, and about 12 chicken fillets, and then a popcorn chicken as well.
Do you know what, dude? I'm smiling, but it's quite upsetting to hear you, like, to think of you doing that, because it is that's like you hurting yourself right there, isn't it? That's punishing you. Like, I know we can both have a laugh about it now, but that's
what I was doing. I was just punishing myself. It was me finding that solace. It was me going, "Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do."
Yeah.
So I just did it.
So let's go back to you being 212 kilos and then starting Overeaters Anonymous. From that point then, did it progressively get better? Like, was OA the turning point for you? Was that it?
It was. And I think the reason I think they've changed it now. In fact, I know they've changed it now. They talk a lot about abstinence. And in the beginning, it makes a lot of sense because basically you cut everything out. And I remember the first I went to meet my daughter in Liverpool, and I had a major meltdown because everywhere I looked, there was food. There is, there's McDonald's, there was Burger King, there's a donut shop, there was Subway, and I was in a state of panic because I was almost being drawn into these shops. And I was probably about 4 weeks into recovery, and I was in a state of panic. I was found sponsors. I really don't know what to do. I'm literally being pulled, And my daughter, bless her, she's going, "You're okay, Dad?" I was like, "Yeah." I was because she needed to eat.
I know, that's it. Like, everyone else will have to carry on, right? I'm guessing the kids want to have.
He says, "Oh, well, Daddy, can we go to pizza?" Oh my God.
Shit, yeah.
So basically, yeah, we can go in there. And she said, "Okay." And she said, "Oh, I'll have the buffet." I was like, "Oh, thank God. And basically, she had to just eat salad. Because I was almost like, I couldn't have, because I could have just sat demolishing pizza and pasta. I'm like, "No, just have salad. And that was really difficult. And that was really stressful. And I think, and then because of abstinence, I was like, I cut these foods out. But then I wanted to move on to a food plan. And then I got to cut them out for good. I was like, no, I can't cut them out for good. So then I moved to an eating plan that made life a lot easier for me. Because then I knew I couldn't have hobnobs. I knew I couldn't have Domino's. And we've had this debate before. I can eat any other pizza, but Domino's would trigger me. It doesn't trigger me anymore because I know the secret. You have one of the thin crust bases, and that's fine.
Really? I've never tried one. Dude, I swear they put a lot on those Domino's.
It's a waste of time. I've had one. I'll never have one again. But
I swear they smother it in heroin or something, or some kind of cocaine.
All it is, it's the stuff around the outside. It's that garlic thing. It's the drizzle. It truly is. If you speak, Domino's have got a special thing that it's the thing around the outside.
Yeah, when you say special thing, what the fuck is special thing? Somebody told me it was lard. They put lard on it.
I know, but whatever it is, it's highly addictive.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm with you, dude. Domino's is my thing, man. Like, yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think there's one in Monday, mate. So don't worry.
But yeah. Do you even believe the calorie advice like on these things? Do you think they just thought like? It wouldn't surprise me if I found out actually there's 350 calories in this slice, not 250. Like, none of this would shock me if a lot of food industries come out and went, actually, the calories on the label's all bullshit. It's just, we don't know what the fuck's in it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Well, I suppose you'd have to say that they legally it has to be right, doesn't it? But that's their assumption based on their one they make in the test kitchen.
Yeah, I think they that's off the, like you say, a test.
Yeah.
Version, and then they obviously try and replicate. But I think is it 10% they're allowed to go either side? So yeah,
they always say obviously due to the handmade nature of our products.
Yeah.
We could because if you got somebody who's a bit too generous with the cheese, imagine they put the wrong cheese on or put too much cheese on. It's like, God, there's another 50 calories I wasn't accounted to have on that slice.
So eating plan, I'm big into eating plans. I think eating plans are far more successful than people who have calorie targets. Would you agree?
I agree. I think eating plan, again, I hate the only time I'd ever use the word diet is if I was doing something with you for a specific outcome, because you would give me a specific diet, or if I had a illness that said I had to have a celiac diet or I had to have a lacto-free diet. But the word diet, where it's bandied around the industry, it's not. It's an eating plan.
Would that have made it easier for you if you were celiac? If you were, if you had a medical condition that said, Chris, you can't eat these foods, you can't eat gluten, you can't eat this. Do you think that would have made it easier rather than just, well, Chris, just you've got a problem with food, you can't eat this and
that? No, I don't think so. I would just find a way around it.
Yeah. Some people don't care though. They've got their celiac and they eat gluten. Sometimes that won't even stop people.
No, and then obviously then that again doesn't stop people, and then they have massive issues and massive problems. Yeah.
So you went on this epic journey, right, from 212 kilos to your current weight, and you can fucking smile, dude. You should be super proud. That's epic, and I think, dude, obviously, look, you must have learned a lot about yourself during that transition. The character, the stubbornness that you've got. Your ability to graft, your ability to grind, your ability to transform. Like, what were the main things that you learned during that time, and what were the main challenges, and what were the main victories for you during that 100 kilo loss?
Main challenge was belief, and it's interesting because it's only happened this year, and only probably happened about 5 weeks ago. I always viewed, no matter how slim I got, I always thought I was this big guy. So for a lean period, and your body dysmorphia, they talk about quite a lot. But for quite a long time, I'd look in the mirror and I'd see the fat guy looking back at me. No matter how much weight I lost, I'd see it back. And even recently, I never actually realized how, I use the word normal, I now look. And it wasn't until I was in Scotland with John and Grant from More Than Fitness, and there's a photo of the three of us at Edinburgh Castle. I'm in the middle, and I look the same.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever looked at a photo and I've gone, actually, I'm normal. I'm not that big fat guy. And that's probably for me has been the biggest challenge was overcoming the fact that I'm not Fat Chris. Because Fat Chris, and that's the fear that drives me, is that Fat Chris is always going to, and he's always there. And I say, people go, "Oh, you're okay? I've lost weight." I said, "No, I'm in recovery. I am one slip away from going back there."
Yeah, which I think is the thing that will probably fuel you not to go back, not to make the wrong decisions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is, and I'm one slip away. And it's not the same as an alcoholic or drug addict, but it is, because once I start, what's going to stop me? What's going to stop me? And remember our debate the first time we went together, and I said, Alex, I just need some help to stop me going to eat really 20 chicken nuggets in Cologne.
Yeah. And I at the time I thought, fucking hell, is this all I'm helping this guy with? But then going on to find out what I know about you, like I think you're just so tuned in now to know where that could potentially lead.
Yeah.
And I think what people aren't, I don't think people are aware, Chris. So they don't realise that, a couple of weekends in a row, it's not going to kill you, but like it's the start of something. It's the spiral.
Yeah.
People always go back and forward, and they don't notice that quick enough. It's too late before they do.
And once it started, for me, once it would start, it'll be big. Once I lose control, it will be every night.
Mate, I'm with you.
Overeating.
I'm with you. Yeah, this is why I'm so ruthless with the guys in DX. I'm like, because you drop your standards today, and the next day, and the next day, and then fucking what? Like, it's only going to get worse. You're not going to get. Don't I mean? You've got to notice these things before they creep in. Like, you can only fuck up so many times.
Yeah.
You've got to notice it. It's tough. So this book's coming out, and people are going to be able to read it, and they're going to be able to learn how not only you went through the journey, but they can get a handle on their eating habits as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll be a guide for them to. It'll be what we teach in our program.
What's it called? Have you got a name yet?
Working title is From Fat Dad to Fit Dad.
From Fat Dad to Fit Dad.
That's a working title. That might not be the same title at the end of the book.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a working title at the moment.
That's one of the most exciting parts, picking the title of the book.
It is, and I think going back to that question you asked about the whole, what do you that not getting sucked into. I think realizing the journey you've been on, right, and realizing that it's not going to end, and it's never going to end. I think that's what people have to accept.
Yeah, and I think that stops some people from starting because, like you say, it's a never-ending transformation. But I believe it's the only way, and I think you can reframe that into a positive because you don't have to sort your shit out in 12 weeks. You don't have to get everything nailed in 12 weeks. You just have to make some progress at some point. And if you keep doing that, you get an epic transformation. Can you imagine telling the 212-kilogram guy that you had to lose 110 kilos? You'd be like, fuck that, I'm done. I can't do that. But
I told myself every day, and it's in my mantra every day, and I have said it to myself every day for 4 years, is I will be happy if I get to the end of the day and I've not binge it or over it.
Yeah, one day at a time process.
One day. Because as you say, if you told somebody 212 kilos, in 12 months you'll have dropped, you'll be 100 kilos. They're looking at you, I can't do that. It's impossible. But it's like, and it stems from Alcoholics Anonymous. If you turn to an alcoholic says you're never going to drink again, well, one, are you going to push them over the edge because they're just going to get pissed?
Yeah.
Or, but you say, no, all you got to do is get through the end of today and not drink. And you wake up the next day and the next day, and before you know it, you've done 20 years. But, you have to acknowledge it. And I have to know that I will never, ever be able to overeat again. Yeah, I'll have a day when I eat a lot, but that's because I can manage it. And it's not, I'm doing it because I choose to do it, not because my mind's making me do it.
And now you help other people.
I do. Yes.
You were always going to end up here, right? I don't believe you can go through such a journey. You're going to care too much.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I did it through OA. I did it with 46 people. So I was doing it anyway. But it was easier doing that than it is doing this.
Tell me more. What do you mean?
I think it was because the people who come to you at that point,
right?
Nothing else. Because as soon as you start into the steps program, when you get to step 3 and you go, yeah, I am proper fucked, I need help. They then come and they work you on step 4. At step 4, they get a sponsor, and you know that they're ready to work with you.
What's the biggest challenge now that you see for people?
Not accepting. I think the challenge is it's acceptance. It's acceptance that you can have everything you want when you want it. And I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, right? This whole body beautiful thing, right? Yeah, it's great to embrace things, but actually, you need to look at the underlying reasons why people are that way. What are they doing to themselves? Yeah, I don't care. If you want to be 2 stone overweight and you're comfortable with that, I'm not there to tell you. But what I'm passionate about is setting that example for the next generation. Setting that thing that says, you need to be healthy. You need to be the best person you can be. You need to look at what you're doing. Because I know from personal experience, right? My 3 children are all morbidly obese. And that's all down to me. That's all down to me. Because of what they saw me do and their mother do, and the fact that we didn't teach them right from wrong.
It's very brave to admit that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And there's too many people out there who will shove fast food down their kids' throats, all convenient, all that, because guess what? It's easy. It's too easy to pick up the phone and phone just eat. It's too easy to take them to the drive-through and throw the McDonald's in the back and go, there you go, off you go. Because that is creating a set of behaviors that people don't, I remember, you remember, when you're young, takeaways were like an exciting thing. Now it's almost a daily occurrence in some households.
Well, I think that's where, you're right, dude. It was, we'll go to a McDonald's, and as a kid, you'd get so thrilled because it was like a rare treat, and it would be something different. But I think you're right. Now it's like, you nip down the road, McDonald's is there, Subway's that way, KFC is that way, and McDonald's. It's insane. And the worrying thing that I hear, Chris, is like people will say, "Oh, I'll treat myself at the weekend," and then you have a look at their food diary, and their entire week's a fucking treat.
It is. Oh, do you know what? It winds me up, right? Again, cheat days. Fucking cheat days. No, your fucking life's a cheat.
Yeah. Because I think that's it. The new normal is the old cheat day from years ago, but now that's just normal. So to cheat now, you have to go even further.
Yeah.
It's like cheat, you have to have a takeaway and loads of booze and some chocolate and this and that. That's now a cheat.
And you think about people, and you'll see them in the gym. They're good with you all week. 4 or 5 days. And Friday night they're fucking it, and Saturday they're eating away. Sunday and then, I've ruined my weekend. And the amount of people I speak to, it's like binges. I say to people, right, you are never ever gonna get rid of binge eating because it's always gonna happen. You're always gonna have a slip and you're gonna have a relapse. It happens, right? But the trick is to make sure that relapse is as short as possible. So the relapse might be just one meal. Because you and I both know one meal, you can catch that back. If that one meal becomes a day, you got a problem. If that one meal then becomes a weekend, you are in serious difficulty because the amount of excess calories you can do. And you and I both know we work with people who have that problem. And they go, well, I fucked it now. No, you've just ate too many calories on a meal. Just forgive yourself, move on, and don't make the same mistake.
I'd say that's people's biggest downfall in any journey, They're expecting things to go perfectly, expecting things to go to plan, and then not being able to handle a setback. Yeah. And literally setting themselves up to fail.
Yeah, they do. And like this perfect plan, this perfect life. No, fucking life's not perfect.
So, dude, if anyone wants to work with you, I know you run, you're running 3 5-day challenges. When's your next one?
Next 5-day challenge is probably going to be starting. Where's my calendar? It will be on the what day is that? 3rd of May.
Cool. Well, that was a really poor question because people might listen to this at any point. That's probably the better thing for me to do is where can people check out your stuff on Facebook? Transform.
Transform at T Transform 2 T's 365 or the Emotional Eating Coach UK or T Transform 365 on Instagram as well. Or they can go to my website at www.transform365.co.uk.
Cool, my man. It's been a pleasure, dude. I've got to say, out of all of the clients I've ever worked with, working with you is phenomenal. When I say you instantly, and I think I should declare that I didn't help you lose 100 kilos in case people thinking I've been part of your journey, but you instantly gained my respect when you told me your journey. I think it's phenomenal. I'm immensely proud of what you've done, and the fact that now you've got the courage to step away from the job that wasn't serving you anymore, and now you're challenging yourself yet again. I call you Big Balls Chris because you've just got fucking courage, dude, and steel, and I think it's part of the struggle that you went through is why you've got so much courage. So mate, I really hope it works out. I know you're going to help a lot of people, and I think you're going to make a fantastic coach.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I'll give you the final word, dude, before we hit end broadcast, because I've got to do a training at 8 p.m.
I'm thinking it's just popped up my finger. No, it's
is that it? Yeah. So I'm going to give you the last word, my man.
Okay. If you do fail, forgive yourself.
Mr. Chris Tibbetts, thank you so much, brother.
Okay, cheers, buddy. See you later.